Marvel Studios has made its saving throw. They're going to reboot everything. They're going to start over. They're going to remind you of what the MCU used to be. How are they going to do it? I don't know, because all they did was release a little tweet that had some Valentine's imagery on it, and they announced the cast of Fantastic Four with less fanfare than we're doing right now on That Park Place. Hello, I am Jonas J. Campbell. I am an investigative reporter for That Park Place, and with me is my follically gifted friend, Mr. Culture Casino. Culture, what kind of product do you use in your beard?
Actually, several different products. I have several things I use, but I think most aggressively, I use a beard oil, a peppermint beard oil that not only makes my beard smell fantastic, but makes it so that I can control it a little bit more easily.
That's amazing. I bet you smell like Christmas.
I do.
All right. But what we want to talk about today is this amazing tweet out of Marvel Entertainment. I had to check. It is actually Marvel Studios. Usually when we see this cast list, it's from the fan sites. It's from all of the people that have scoops. I think even Grace Randolph might have had this exact cast list at some point. This has been out there forever, to the point where I thought there's no way that it's the case. But here we are. Happy Valentine's Day from Marvel's first family. Pedro Pascal, Vanessa Kirby, Eben Moss-Bachrach, and Joseph Quinn are the Fantastic Four. Marvel Studios, hashtag the Fantastic Four, in theaters July 25th, 2025. And here's some, it's good artwork. Let's take a look. Yeah, there's the Thing. He looks like the Thing in the comic books, so that's good. Eben Moss, forgive me, I don't know how to pronounce his last name. Culture, do you know?
No.
But he was in the Punisher series as Micro. I really like the guy's hair. He had this amazing curly, I don't want to call it an afro, but puffed out hair in the Punisher series, and did a great job with it. I understand this guy's from Stranger Things. Pedro Pascal from voiceover work in The Mandalorian, and
Yes.
maybe appearances here and there. And Vanessa Kirby, arguably the best looking among them, and in quite the little starlet there. So I would say it's a good cast from what little I know. It's also looks like a lot of white people plus Pedro Pascal. Got some star power there. He's got that Burt Reynolds level mustache, not quite that Burt Reynolds level machismo, but
yeah.
But any reactions to the casting before we talk about the marketing snafu that this might represent?
I'm so far. I've always thought maybe Vanessa Kirby would fit into this role, and I was excited for that. What I'm impressed with is that they leaned into the idea that this is the first family of Marvel. They're going to have a hard time selling that if they go the direction that a lot of the script leakers have said that they are planning to go with this particular project, which is due out in 2025. But look, Reed Richards did not look at all like Pedro Pascal in any previous representation of him. And
right, I get the feeling you're not talking about race there when you say that.
No, he just doesn't have the same appearance, and that's fine. Again, we can look at that. We can look at his we can overlook some of the characteristics that Pedro seems to always bring to roles. In his mannerisms and things like that. I'm willing to step that aside, but what I'm afraid of is that they really do dismantle this family, because you can't have anything that feels like a genuine family in any of these Marvel products. They promptly try to break those apart.
Right. Well, in this case, of course, Reed Richards and Ben Grimm are best friends.
Yeah.
Sue and Johnny are brother and sister, and of course, Sue and Reed are married, which we don't have a lot of that in the Marvel universe. We somewhere along the line we got the idea that what's her name, Pepper Potts
and Tony Stark. Yeah.
Married off screen, as it were.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. Good. Glad somebody found happiness in the Marvel universe.
Either that, or they had a child out of wedlock. I mean, you have to ask yourself that question.
No. There was a wedding. Doctor Strange did congratulate them on the wedding. Although Marvel is now not averse to making their children's characters, aged up children's characters, into people of today. So. That being said, this is the strangest way for Marvel to start taking hold of this narrative.
Well, it's funny because we were talking off screen. What would they normally do, Jonas?
They would normally, if they were operating at full strength, they would do a big announcement video. That's one way, even if everybody knows who is going to be in this film, which you would argue most of the people who were following the polls here had a pretty good idea who was going to be the Fantastic Four at this point. It was to the point where I thought, okay, it must be someone else, because there's no way that everybody already knows every single person that's going to be in this. There should have been a big old video. Kevin Feige coming out, staking his claim. He hasn't really done anything big since Victoria Alonso was fired. If he's supposed to be coming out and reclaiming that throne, evoking the original imagery of the MCU here, there's no reason that he shouldn't be out there saying, here at Marvel, we like to go back to our origins and talk about the first family of the of Marvel and Stan Lee, and do as much as you can to remind people of, one, comic books, and two, 2008, when Iron Man showed up. Robert Downey Jr. showed up and blew everyone's minds for what a comic book movie should be. Jon Favreau, Robert Downey Jr., Stan Lee, all the big names, all the big surprises, and then we expanded. But this all goes back to, and then one by one, you reveal who all of these people are. Maybe even show a couple clips here and there to show how talented the cast that you have is, in order to get people hyped for the idea that this movie is about to be made. Instead, we have this awkward little sketch. It's a good sketch. The only awkwardness is the way that they decided, you know what, just throw something together for Valentine's Day because we need something to fill out the social media schedule. This is so weird to me. Guys, you should be rebooting your Marvel Cinematic Universe right now, not messing around with a Valentine's card.
It's very strange. I mean, you're looking at, 885,000 views already this morning as we're recording this video. And, the feedback on it doesn't look great. Josh from Den of Nerds is like not feeling it as far as Pedro is Reed. So he's having a similar reaction to me. I think
That's about as, and Josh is very kind to these people. So I have a feeling that if he hated it, that would be about about as strongly as he repudiated them.
True. But I mean, the soft announcement's the thing that gets me. It's the thing that struck me when we came across this news. I'm like going, this is really soft. This is not, hey, we got a movie coming. And look, I don't blame Feige for, hiding his head in the sand for the last several months, because, they really haven't landed they haven't landed the orbiter on the planet successfully in a while. So, having a wonderful spacefaring family come together, they better get this right. This is one of those films. It's like, this one they have to get right, or it's over. Right. I'm sorry. This is true, because this, again, we keep saying it. We've said it forever. This is the first family of Marvel. This is it. If you don't get this right, you're going to have just.
I think that's it. The only other thing that they have access to is the X-Men, and right now X-Men is tied up with Deadpool, which I have my own reasons for being wary of that movie being as successful as they need it to be in order for it to Deadpool wandering around the Magic Kingdom, probably not going to happen. Deadpool showing up in Avengers Campus, maybe. It still makes me cringe a little bit at the idea of that. Obviously he'll need to be silent. Actually, would that be the first character in a full mask that they have him actually talking in the parks? Anyways, that's a completely separate issue. But they have essentially three things going for them here. They have the Fantastic Four, they have Deadpool, and they have the X-Men. X-Men, I don't think ideologically that the current Walt Disney Company will allow them to make the X-Men in a way that is not some of the things that we would talk about in the Bob Iger video from earlier, and the Bob Chapek video that we'll be talking about later. The need to make that ideological, and the fact that they took a civil rights issue from the 1960s and a treatment of others issue, if you talk about Magneto's backstory,
right.
And now they've made it into the only civil rights issue that seems to matter to the Walt Disney Company. So I think if they can make Fantastic Four a hopeful film, if it's this image here of a family, and hey, they seem to love each other, maybe they fight sometimes, because that's great between Ben Grimm and Johnny Storm, or that little bit of resentment between Reed and the Thing, because Reed is the one that got this hero into this mess, but at the same time, he's this massive superhero that well, is the thing because of it. Those are great dynamics. Now, of course, Sue Storm, I don't see her and Namor from Wakanda Forever, Black Panther 2, really hitting it off, but maybe it'll happen. I don't know. Does this make you hopeful, Culture? Do you think that Disney stuck the landing with this announcement? What are your thoughts here?
Look, Mr. Fantastic has to be fantastic, not fantastic. So I think you're going to have a real problem. Again, everybody else here I get, right? As far as the casting goes, it made a lot of sense. Vanessa Kirby is going to be brilliant in this role if they allow them to portray these characters properly. I have the same concerns as you do. If they stuff a bunch of garbage political narrative in here, like apparently is supposedly Bob Iger's birthright on everything that Disney produces, this is in big trouble. But I want this to be a hopeful story. But just a question quickly, Jonas, what was the last hopeful story that Disney was able to produce with any of their IPs?
Luca, I think, was a hopeful story. Soul was not. Yeah, I would say Luca was probably the closest thing to a hopeful story that they got. You got this little orphan guy that gets to go off and learn about the world at the end of the film. I'm trying to say that in a vague way so that I don't spoil that movie. But I think Luca was probably the last great thing that the Walt Disney Company did with any of the Walt Disney Company IPs.
Can they avoid any form of nihilism?
Whew, that remains to be seen. I got to say, this company is so entrenched in this weird ideology and trying to put representation above everything else to the detriment of storytelling that I think they've really lost that storytelling aspect. This, to me, they are smiling. That does give me hope. I do question why in the world, when you are, why not announce the cast for Fantastic Four during the earnings call? You got Taylor Swift in there. You've got Moana 2. Why not talk about the Fantastic Four, which, by the way, Bob Iger, while he's talking about the greatness of the Fox acquisition, why not bring up one of the greatest aspects of the Fox acquisition? Instead, he's focused on Deadpool 3 and Mufasa, the sequel to The Lion King. Yee.
Look, I can't speak to his decision making when it comes to that, other than he's embarrassed by this, perhaps. Like I said, they really are steering away from anything that could be oriented towards family. This is the first family. They've abandoned the idea, and we've said it in the previous videos that we've been in and live streams. They've abandoned family ideology. That's just what they've done, and they've abandoned Americana. This is both of those at the same time.
It does look like Americana. I will say that it does evoke older imagery, 1960s imagery specifically. Now,
Sure.
Now there is one thing that I want to point out. Obviously, the thing is being handed a cup of coffee. He'll probably struggle a little bit with that with his huge hands, but that appears to be Herbie handing him a cup of coffee. I doubt that that's the current design reveal for Herbie, who replaced. Which member of the Fantastic Four did he replace? Was it the Human Torch in one of the animated versions? Anyways,
wouldn't know.
Someone in the comments help us out there, because yes. I don't remember exactly what the idea was with Herbie. I do know his name was an acronym, though. That being said, like this video if you like this video. Of course, leave us a comment giving your thoughts on this whole situation with Disney and Marvel, and why in the world that they announced it in this way. Of course, if you know someone who didn't quite understand that Marvel just used a little funny Valentine's post to announce the cast of Fantastic Four, maybe share this video with them and consider subscribing to That Park Place for all the news that should be fun.
Thanks for watching That Park Place News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media accounts.